Welcome back to Brands Hatch and the Power Max Mini Challenge. Now, before we get back to the racing, I thought it would be nice to introduce you to one of the new faces in the championship driving in the F56 class, and that is Dan Prosser. Dan, lovely to meet you. So, I have to ask you, in your capacity as a journalist rather than a driver, you've obviously had the opportunity to test drive a lot of different cars. What are your feelings about the F56?
Well, in my day job, I test drive high performance road cars rather than race cars. So this is a bit of a new experience for me. But I'm amazed at how drivable this car is. Everyone keeps comparing it to a full-on touring car. But I've been able to jump in and drive it fairly hard. I'm well off the pace, hands up, but I'm completely comfortable, flinging it around and using as much of the performance as I can. It's friendly, it's easy to drive. It's just been a total treat this weekend.
I have to ask you about the sequential gearbox, because that's something that marks this car as different from the JCWs. So what are your thoughts on it?
Do you know, there is nothing better than flying down the back straight, right foot pinned, pulling gear after gear. It's the best sensation. We're using the clutch on downshift, and I thought it might be difficult to coordinate my busy, frantic mind to clutch down, but it's simple actually. It's just kick the clutch, bang the gearbox, and it's really exciting. It feels wonderful.
Another new face bringing an international flair to the championship is 19-year-old Ryan Roder. Ryan, I don't think I pronounced your surname quite correctly. What is it in Afrikaans?
It's Ryan Roder. So yeah, that's South African surname. If you add some exquisite exotic flair to the series, so yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, give us a bit of a background then. Why are you over here racing?
I suppose like many of us, we want to make a career in motorsport. And yeah, coming to the UK, drivers like Ayrton Senna, Mark Webber, they made it here in UK, so why not take a chance at it and try and fight for the dream.
And you've gone straight into the F56 class, the top class, which is kind of as close as you can get to a touring car, if you like. What are your thoughts on it?
No, definitely exactly what you said. It's a baby touring car. The experience is unbelievable. You drive it with a sequential gearbox. It just makes it, I think, minimize the gap from a British touring car to the series. So that was why I actually joined Mini Challenge and the F56, because for the budget that you have to give to get to hopefully touring cars, it's not much. So, and to get the same experience is fantastic.
It's a reverse of the top 5 for this second turbo race. Now, while that doesn't affect either Dan or Ryan's positions, it does mean that Lawrence Davey finds himself on pole position for the F56 class. So let's go over to Ben to get the full grid, and then let's go racing.
So the final race of the weekend has always got plenty of entertainment to offer it. So here is how they line up then, with Lawrence Davey and Charlie Butler-Henderson on the front row of the grid, then Rob Smith and David Grady. Luke Cordell in 5th place, clear of Ben Spalog and Harry Volkard. Amongst JCW runners, it is going to be Kevin O'Connor from Neil Newstead, then Urkel Lindstead and Hamish Brandon. So the 5-second board is shown to the drivers. We're about to go racing for the final time this weekend as the red lights go out now, and away we go. And it's a brilliant start from Charlie Butler-Henderson, also well away as David Grady, and rocketing through, that was Harry Volkard as well from the 4th row, who moves up to about 6th position as they turn down through Paddock Hill Bend. Ben Spallock as well in the mix in the number 13 car. The full field accelerating uphill towards Druids, and Smith to the inside of Davey, who's going to be squeezed from both sides. Series of the mini F56 sandwich. Lawrence Davey doesn't particularly like being the filling as Hamish Brandon runs a little bit wide, as in the JCW class it is Neil Newstead who leads it from Henry Dupree and Kevin O'Connor. Meanwhile, front of the field, sprint along the Cooper Straight, Ryan Road in the thick of the action as out of Surtees they come, and out on to the stretch. William Phillips just begins to get onto terms with Sam Osborne. Glad to see that Osborne's car wasn't too second hand after that incident earlier on. So down through Pilgrim's Drop and into Hawthorne, then the slightly tighter Westfield Bend, and Butler-Henderson. It's very impressive Donington Park at the start of the season, trying to make good his escape early on. Meanwhile, Luke Cordell and Lee Patterson propelling Harry Volkard along. So downhill through Dingle Dell up towards Sheen. And Caudle to the inside of Volkard gains that position, so does Lee Patterson. Their next target is Ryan Road. To go through the left-hander at Stirling's and then sprint downhill into Clearways. Such a challenging corner on the Grand Prix circuit because the camber just drops away at that point. And somebody's been through the gravel. It's Rob Smith who bounces off and kicks up the dust. So Rob Smith has a big moment, loses several places as a result, and he has got an awful lot of recovery work to do as Butler Henderson leads the way, breaking clear from David Grady. The rest of them all line astern, and Rob Smith, he has come back into the train just behind Luke Reed as Sam Osborne and William Phillips run side by side through Druids and towards Graham Hill Bend for the pair of them, both of them retirements. The early race in car with Lawrence Davey. Here we see it, and just catching the curb and then understeering out wide for Rob Smith. Tiny mistake, but it's cost him several places. Down through there is Neil Newstead leading JCW from Henry Dupree, and then Hamish Brandon next along. As at the front of the field, David Grady just beginning to close back up onto the race leader Charlie Butler Henderson. In third place it's Lawrence Davey, and then fourth Ben Spallock. There's a big sideways moment from Sam Osborne. He gathers that up very nicely. Cool as you like, checks the mirror, starts defending immediately from William Phillips, Luke Reed, and of course Rob Smith, whose recovery drive has thus far not left him any gain in position. So around the outside for Luke Reed as he chases William Phillips. They turn through Surtees and then just up that very slight incline for the sprint on towards Pilgrim's Drop and Hawthorne. Now Smith gets a good run here on Luke Reed. Luke Reed in the the black and white car. It's not quite checkers, but it's distinctive livery, and Smith hasn't quite got the pace to get past him on that occasion. They can see the leaders just begin to form a train up ahead of them, and this race, unlike the pyrotechnics of the earlier one, yet to really crack into life. It's very close and competitive. As running out wide, that's Kevin O'Connor, plants his right foot over the grass. Meanwhile, Ryan Road has found a way past Ben Spallock as Road gets on the brakes into Paddock Hill Bend. They're being chased down by Lee Patterson. Bouncing on the suspension, Ryan Road flips it all sideways. Phenomenal car control really to keep that out of the fence from Ryan Road, but he is beginning to dance with the limits of physics, and as a result Ben Spallock may well be poised, indeed he is, able to work his way around the outside of Ryan Road. Snatches the position, so the 4.56's run nose to tail as Ryan Road looks to immediately fight his way back into fourth position. Balog sees him coming, gives him racing room. Very fair driving between the pair of them. No contact, not much space either, but that is what Powermax Mini Challenge is all about. So downhill they hurtle in towards Pilgrim's Drop. Ryan Road thinks about the brave one at Hawthorne, realises that that is unlikely to end happily, and instead sets about defending from Lee Patterson. Balog realises they're both coming and gets stout in his defence. It means that Luke Caudle is also closing up to their tail. Here is our JCW class leader Neil Newstead. He has built out a nice advantage over Henry Dupree. Newstead accelerating on to the Grand Prix loop, and this is looking reasonably comfortable for him. Dupree not really in a position to particularly challenge just at the moment. Meanwhile Ryan Road wants that fourth place back, and he wants it bad. In pursuit of Ballock along the Bravham Straight they come, and Ryan Road, don't forget, a couple of laps ago had that moment that cost him the place. He looks to the outside, then switches to the inside. Oh, the car gets sideways and he's not going up, and around he goes and into the gravel trap, and that is the end of the road in pretty much every sense for Ryan. So he is out of the race and he's unlikely to recover from there. A great shame after a really feisty performance. Unfortunately, I don't think the car has sustained too much damage. This is in car with Road. Now what happened? So he looked to the outside and then just tried to sell the dummy back to the inside. The car ran out of grip and once that happens, you're into correction and over correction. The gravel trap doing its stop job, however, bringing the car to a halt as William Phillips goes wheel to wheel with Harry Volkard as they come out of Hawthorne in towards Westfield Bend. Volkard to the inside. Phillips therefore has to settle into the train behind him as here comes Charlie Butler Henderson en route towards the checker flag. Phillips and Volkard continue their scrap, and William Phillips has to concede to Volkard as accelerating through. It's going to be victory for Charlie Butler Henderson. He wins the concluding race of the mini challenge race weekend on the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit. Chasing him home in second place is David Grady, and then it's going to be Ben Spalog who overhauls Luke Cordell and claims third position. So some excellent racing for the Power Max Mini Challenge, and delight for Charlie Butler Henderson. That one meant an awful lot to him as Neil Newstead wins the JCW class from Henry Dupree. And then Hamish Brandon. So look then at the final results, with the win for Charlie Butler Henderson from David Grady and Ben Spalog, Luke Cordell in fourth, clear of Harry Volkard and William Phillips, then Chris Boone and the recovering Rob Smith. In the JCW class, Neil Newstead victorious from Henry Dupree, Hamish Brandon, John O'Brown and Urca Lindstedt. So on to the top step of the JCW podium for Neil Newstead. Receives the handshake and the trophy. And then a big round of applause for F56 and overall race winner Charlie Butler Henderson. Looks absolutely overjoyed with his performance.
Congratulations guys, again before the champagne goes.
So win number 2 for you, Charlie. A bit of a mixed weekend, but a great finish.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic finish. To get the start I had for lights to finish, I don't think I've done that in my whole career, so it felt very emotional. I saw the 9 minutes left of the pit board and I was like, oh my god, hurry up, please just cheat the pit board and make it go quicker. But yeah, lights to finish, and I think maybe fastest lap, I don't know, but yeah, on song, yeah, we've come on form, yeah, so watch out Silverstone Grand Prix, here we come.
I nailed the start, got a good lead, and then I was just consistent. In fact, I was on the back of the F56s for quite a bit, which were kind of holding me up, and then once they pulled their gap, I just managed to consistently pull it. I could see Henry behind me, but at no point was he catching me, so I could kind of relax and take control.
So leaving Brands Hatch, this is how the championship looks, with in the F56 class Rob Smith clear of Charlie Butler Henderson and David Grady snapping at both of their heels. Ryan Rode in fourth. Then in the JCW class, Neil Newstead clear of Hamish Brandon, Kevin O'Connor and Alan Taylor.
Charlie Butler Henderson and Neil Newstead going home very happy men after those wins. Now that might be the end of the racing from here at Brands, but we've still got some more mini challenge action to come from Rockingham after the break.